Hello friends, welcome to PRATHAM Test Prep. I am Ashish Bhargav. Welcome to another episode of Daily News Analysis. And I welcome each and everyone here. Please let me know if my voice is audible and I am visible to everyone. And I hope that you guys are doing well. So in newspaper analysis, we majorly discuss about the Hindu and Indian Express. As you know, in your exam, the most of the question they are fetched from the two prominent newspaper, which is the Hindu and Indian Express. And what exactly we do in the Hindu daily news analysis, we discuss about all the aspect of newspaper. Like we can say we cover national news, international news, economy based news, sports based news, science and tech, personal news, summits and conference, and miscellaneous. And apart from that, we also discuss about Supreme Court verdict, any amendments, any bills, any act, which is very important, especially for the students who are preparing for law entrance exam like CLAT, AILET and all. And we also discuss about any dates and any state initiative. So I again welcome each and everyone here, and one more request: if you are new in this channel, please subscribe the channel as well, and do not forget to press the bell icon so you will get the notification of all our Pratham Test Prep mentors. And now we discuss, just a second. So here is we start quote of the day: if your voice is high, only a few people will hear. If your thought is high, then many people will listen. And to inculcate this thought process, what you need to do, you have to develop the temperament to read the newspaper and study hard, no matter if it seems impossible, no matter if it takes time, no matter if you have to up all night. Just remember that the feeling of success is best thing in entire world. And we have taken initiative questions of the day. That is very important. At the end of the session, we'll ask you 5 questions that gives you the immense idea, like what kind of question that can be framed in your examination. Here is the very first article that has taken from the Indian Express Daily edition. And as we know that award and honor, there is a section which in your exam that is likely to ask, irrespective of any exam you are preparing for. Here is the AILET prize, so that most coveted prize in mathematics, and that is so-called mathematics Nobel Prize, because Nobel Prize is not given in the field of maths. That's why this prize is equivalent to the Nobel Prize. And वो किसको मिला? Argentinian born mathematician Louis Capral, 74, has won the 2023 AILET Prize. As you can see in this photograph is mentioning here, इनको मिला है Nobel AILET Prize for his work on partial differential equation, which by relating one or more unknown functions and their derivatives, and that allows scientists to predict the behavior of physical world. First award कब दिया गया था? That 2003. The AILET Prize recognizes pioneer scientific achievement in mathematics. It is named after Norwegian mathematician Niels Henrik Abel. Who in short life made pioneering contribution in a multitude of fields. So basically the AILET prize that was proposed in 1899 by the Norwegian mathematician Sophus Lee, and when he learned that Alfred Nobel plans, and we can say, just a second, yeah. So when Alfred Nobel plans to annual prize did not include a prize in mathematics, because जो आपका Nobel Prize है, that is not given to in the field of maths. So that's why it is equivalent to the what is AILET Prize? That the prize was established by the Norwegian Parliament, like strengthened in 2002, marking the 200th anniversary of Niels Henrik Abel's birth. Notably, the prize was first proposed in 1999 when Norwegian mathematician Sophus Lee proposed established prize name after AILET Prize when he learned that Alfred Nobel plans to annual prize. और ये जो प्राइज़ है वो एडमिनिस्टर्ड एनवायरमेंट एडमिनिस्ट्री दैट एकेडमी ऑफ साइंस and letters on behalf of the Norwegian government. It is financed by the Norwegian government, which also does not tax the prize money, and the recipients are chosen by the AILET committee, which we can say that comprises expert mathematicians, all appointed by the Norwegian Academy of Science and Letters under the advice of International Mathematician Union, which is called IMU. So basically we can say, just a second guys. Yeah, so the AILET prize, that is, we can say, awarded and we can say administered by the Norwegian Academy of Science and Letters and Norwegian government. It is financed by Norwegian government. It also does not tax the prize money, and the recipient are chosen by the AILET committee, which comprises expert mathematician, all appointed by the Norwegian Academy of Science and Letters. So the under the advice of IMU, which is known to be a International Mathematician Union and European Mathematician Society, that is called EMS. Let's move on to the next article, which is, we can say, why is India CAMPA at odds with the new IPCC report? So basically in the last Friday session we have discussed much in the detailed manner that what exactly is IPCC report and what is the role of India's, right? So first thing that we need to keep in mind that what exactly means the word IPCC. So IPCC, which means we can say that Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Make sure Intergovernmental Panel on climate change. So that report was released somewhere in the March 20th, that originate in the synthesis report that is called IPCC, right? बाद में UN expert body that was not degrading existing ecosystem in the first place, that will do more to lower. And in that place we have to understand that why afforestation. What does it mean, the afforestation? That planting a tree. There's a two term that we need to keep in mind: deforestation, which is cutting of trees, and afforestation, which means we can see that is a planting a tree. So India has committed to adding an additional carbon sink, which is, we can say that almost 2.5 to 3 CO2 through additional forest tree cover. मतलब इंडिया को 2030 तक जो है 2.5 जो है गीगा टन तक आपको CO2 कम करनी. कार्बन सिंक, which means the कार्बन रिलीज होती है एटमॉस्फेयर में, that is we can say. So इसमें कैंपा वर्ड यूज किया गया, इंडिया कैंपा. व्हाट डज इट मीन द कैंपा? व्हिच इज, वी कैन से, compensatory afforestation fund management and planning authority. That is, we can say, mean to promote afforestation and regeneration activities as a way of compensating a forest land diverted to non-forest users. So in that context we need to, one more thing that we can say, when forest land is diverted to non-forest use, such as building a dam or a mine, that land can longer provide its historical ecosystem, so that not host biodiversity. तो जो फर्स्ट हमारा फॉरेस्ट कंजर्वेशन एक्ट आया था, दैट इज कॉल्ड फॉरेस्ट कंजर्वेशन, जस्ट अ सेकेंड, दैट इज कॉल्ड फॉरेस्ट कंजर्वेशन एक्ट, और वो कब रिलीज हुई थी? 1980. सो इन दैट एक्ट वी कैन सी दैट उसमें प्रोजेक्ट प्रोपोनेंट दैट विशेस टू डाइवर्ट द लैंड मस्ट आइडेंटिफाई लैंड एल्सवेयर टू एफॉरेस्ट. जो कैंपा क्या मैटर करता है इंडिया के लिए? जो मनी पेड की गई है फॉर फंड ओवरसीन बाय कैंपा एज ऑफ 2019, fund has 47,000 crore, right? So CAMPA has comes under fire and facilitating the destruction of natural ecosystem in exchange of forest. Now moving further to the next one, India needs a free and fair CAG appointment process. In that regard, what kind of important takeaways for your exam? First thing that we need to keep in mind, what is CAG? What is the appointment process of CAG? And third thing that we can say, that what is the age criteria for CAG, what is the work role of CAG, that all these things we need to keep in mind for your exam, because this is likely to ask in your exam, so we need to keep an eye on that. So as we know that recently Supreme Court ruled that President will appoint the Chief Election Commissioner. So that is, we can say, the President will appoint, we can say, the Chief Election Commissioner, and that Chief Election Commissioner on the advice of committee consisting of Prime Minister, leader of opposition, and Lok Sabha, Chief Justice of India. So recently the government has announced the one more thing that we can say, the Chief Election Commissioner, like we can say Chief Election Commissioner that is appointed by the, just a second, right? Okay, just a second. So basically we can say that CAG appointment age and where we were, yes. So Chief Election Commission and Election Commissioner on the advice of 3 person, one we can say leader of opposition. तो हमारे इंडिया में चीफ इलेक्शन कमिश्नर जो है अपॉइंट होते हैं इन द 3 process. Earlier it was different, now it's the leader of opposition, CGI, and we can say third one we can say that Lok Sabha. So this was hailed as an important step to ensure the independence of the poll body. So in that regard we need to think one more thing. So if free and fair elections are the backbone of the democracy as an independent audit system that is very crucial for a country's financial hygiene and ensuring that process of state welfare delivery is error free. And in that regard, to ensure both, it is essential that CAG, which is called Comptroller and Auditor General of a nation's supreme audit instructions, that is appointed by free and fair manners. So unfortunately हमारे इंडिया में जो CAG होते हैं, that is appointed process is prescribed under Article 148 of the Constitution is not transparent. So which article is talking about? 148 of the Indian Constitution, that appointment of Comptroller and Auditor General, which is called CAG. And CAG duties, power and condition are, that is in the Service Act 1971, that defines the duties and powers of the top official. So we can say that the procedure start with the cabinet secretary, that is preparing a short list of names which is approved by the finance minister and then placed before the PM, who then recommend a name of president. So there is no criteria for the short list, कोई भी criteria हमारे इंडिया में नहीं है. And the Constitution of 1971 Act does not even prescribe any required qualification for the candidate, and this comprises the independence of CAG executive and weakens the independence of auditing process. बाद में हम बात करते हैं इसमें जो हमारा नेशनल ऑडिट ऑफिस है इज द टॉप ऑडिटर्स ऑफ द यूके एंड द UK Act 1983 that provides, we can see, the selection that will be done by the PM and the chairman of committee that public accounts and ratified by the House of Commons. US में क्या है? US में जो CAG की पोस्ट होती है आपकी, that heads the government accountability office, that is called GAO, that is kind of agency which is the federal government legislature branch. The president appoints CAG with the advice and consent of Senate. Japan में क्या है? The board of audit with an audit commission comprising 3 commissioner and general executive bureau. A commission is appointed with the cabinet's consent of both house of DUJAT. So like these example, India must also for emulate transparent and strict guidelines for the CAG appointment process, and the committee comprising the Lok Sabha Speaker, CGI, and the chairman of the Public Account Committee and the leader opposition should be constitute the shortlist name of CAG, and at least 3 names should be forwarded to the president to make the final selection. Similarly, like we can say that the Election Commission of India. So we have covered all the important aspect of the newspaper. Recently there was a controversy of Rahul disqualification and other. Recently जो हमारा PM का है यहाँ पे जो यहाँ पे राहुल गांधी की जो मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट की पोस्ट होती थी उसको हटा दिया गया. सो वायनाड के एमपी थे राहुल गांधी दैट हैज़ लॉस्ट हिज लोकसभा सीट आफ्टर बीइंग कन्विक्टेड फॉर क्रिमिनल डिफेमेशन बाय अ सूरत कोर्ट. So उसके एक नोटिफिकेशन इशूड किया बाय द लोकसभा सेक्रेटेरिएट ऑन फ्राइडे सेड दैट राहुल स्टैंड डिस्क्वालिफिकेशन फ्रॉम द membership of Lok Sabha from the date of his conviction is that is from 23rd of March 2023 in the terms of provision Article 102 Clause 1E of the Constitution of India read with Section 8 of the RPA of Section 8 of Representation of People's Act 1951. So why has the Lok Sabha Secretariat issued the notification? Because Section 8 Clause 3 the Representation of People's Act 1951 ये कहता है कि कोई भी इंसान a person convicted for any offence and sentenced to imprisonment for not less than 2 years shall be disqualified from the date of such conviction and shall continue to be disqualified for the further period of 6 years since his release. मतलब ये हुआ कि जो आपका रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ पीपल्स एक्ट है उससे मेंशन की गई है डिस्क्वालिफिकेशन ऑफ मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट. सो द नोटिफिकेशन इज merely formal notice to Rahul who was in Lok Sabha on Friday before the house was adjourned. Is the authority of a speaker final in this regard? Let's see. So the Supreme Court is ruling in the Lok Sabha Lok Prahari versus Union of India case 2018 ने क्लैरिफाई किया कि तो डिस्क्वालिफिकेशन होती है दैट ट्रिगर्ड बाय कन्विक्शन विल बी रिवर्स्ड इफ द कन्विक्शन इज स्टेड बाय द कोर्ट. जो भी वंस द कन्विक्शन हैज़ बीन स्टेड ड्यूरिंग द पेंडेंसी ऑफ एन अपील द डिस्क्वालिफिकेशन विच ऑपरेट्स आर consequences of conviction that cannot be taken by the cabinet in effect. So the notification by the House Secretariat regarding the Rahul that will that will affect and when it conviction that is a state. So what is the section, what is the article 102 clause 1E and what is the section 8 of Representation of People's Act 1951. So that says the disqualification of member of parliament. So Act 102, which we can say the constitution deals with the grounds of disqualification of member of parliament, which is called MPs, and subclause E, which says that article 102 that MP will lose his membership of the house if he is to be disqualified or under any law made by the parliament. This law in this case that is called Representation of People's Act. And हमारा section 8 क्या कहता है? Section 8 of the Representation of People's Act, which deals with the disqualification of the lawmaker for conviction in certain offences. It is a provision है that is aimed at preventing criminalization of politics and keeping tainted lawmakers for contesting elections. So what are the important takeaways? First thing that we have to understand, what is the criteria for the disqualification of member of parliament? Is there any constitutional provision for that? And what is the Representation of People's Act, section 8 of the Representation People's Act 1951 says? And what is the conviction? These all aspects that we have covered in this article. Press must remain free if the country is to remain a democracy. That the similar article we have discussed in the previous time, because democracy is allowed to the people, should be right to vote, right? And people should be like equal rights irrespective of caste, creed, gender and all. So these all things that we have discussed in the previous session as well. Now Amit Shah allowed CRPF role in the tackling Naxalism, says fight in the final stage. What is LWA? Just a second. What is left-wing extremism? So the incident of Naxal violence in the country has dropped by 77% between 2009 to 2021. Abhi recently, Union Home Minister Amit Shah, that was Saturday, on fight against LWV, which is called left-wing extremism, that seems to be the final stage and the supreme sacrifice made by the Central Reserve Police Forces personnel. So जितने भी states हैं basically जहाँ पे आपका we can say Chhattisgarh that tops the countrywide figure for deaths of सिक्योरिटी पर्सनल एट इट्स, बिकॉज वहाँ पे फॉरेस्ट लैंड आपकी ज़्यादा है. सो इट इज़ अकाउंटेड ऑफ 90% ऑफ ऑल सिक्योरिटी पर्सनल डेथ्स इन द कंट्री. इसमें बस आपको ज़्यादा चीज़ें याद नहीं रखनी कि LWA की क्या रोल्स हैं जो रिजल्टेंट डेथ्स होते हैं सिविलियन एंड सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेज. दैट इज रिड्यूस्ड बाय 85% फ्रॉम ऑल टाइम हाई इन 1005. दिस इज नीड टू कीप इन माइंड. नाउ मूविंग टू द नेक्स्ट वन. India first cable stayed railway bridge nearing completion. 20 years on the delayed construction on the Anjikhar bridge in the Rezi district of Jammu is major change in the India Railways ambition plan to connect Kashmir to Jammu and rest of India. So after missing multiple deadlines including those in 2017 and 2022, the 4,000 crore project that is built to India first cable stayed rail bridge finally nearing completion. और इसको बहुत जल्दी लॉन्च होने वाली है. ये जो ब्रिज है दैट इज़ कनेक्टेड 1086 फीट फ्रॉम द अनीजखर्ड रिवर बेड इन द रेजी डिस्ट्रिक्ट ऑफ जम्मू. दैट विल कनेक्ट टू जम्मू एंड कश्मीर. इंडिया का फर्स्ट ये केबल स्ट्रेट ब्रिज है दैट इज़ नियरिंग कम्प्लीशन. सो इसकी टोटल लेंथ जो है आउट ऑफ टोटल लेंथ ऑफ 326 किलोमीटर वर्क हैज़ बिन completed on 2015 किलोमीटर इंक्लूडिंग जम्मू उधमपुर कटरा स्ट्रेच 79 किलोमीटर. तो इससे जो वैष्णो देवी का जाने का रास्ता है वो भी हमारा बहुत शॉर्ट हो जाएगा. बट वी फॉर योर एग्जाम परस्पेक्टिव नीड टू कीप इन माइंड ये इंडिया का फर्स्ट केबल स्टेड रेलवे ब्रिज है. व्हाट इज द नेम इज ऑफ दिस ब्रिज इज अनीजखर रिवर बेड डिस्ट्रिक्ट. सो दीज थिंग्स नीड टू कीप इन माइंड. नाउ मूविंग टू द नेक्स्ट वन. इनएडिक्वेट स्लीप इंक्रीज द रिस्क ऑफ फैटी लिवर डिजीज. आपको बस इसमें ये जाननी है कि 2018 में यहाँ पे एनाटोमिस्ट ऑफ तोहो यूनिवर्सिटी जो ग्रेजुएट स्कूल ऑफ मेडिसिन टोक्यो के थे उन्होंने एक रिसर्च किया इसके ऊपर एंड देन फाइंड टू द कंक्लूजन दैट द पर्सन हु स्लीप्ड लेस देन 8 hours, so every 1 hour decrease in a sleep time from the recommended 7-8 hours, the risk of fat deposition in the liver increased by 24%. मतलब एक इंसान को यूजुअली 6 to 8 hours की स्लीप दैट इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. बट उसमें मैं इस रिसर्च में ये मेंशन किया गया था कि दैट एवरी 1 hour डिक्रीज इन स्लीप टाइम फॉर द रिकमेंडेड 7 or to 8 hours, the risk of fatty deposition of liver that is increased by 24%. So fatty liver, that is not only the cause of alcohol, that or not only the cause of, like we can say, inappropriate food, that is the cause of, we can say, inadequate sleep also. Because the brain does not rest during the sleep, but it is engaged in various activities necessarily to improve well-being, especially for the liver. That's why sleep is very important, right? So the incidence of fatty liver decreased among 10,000 people with sleep disorders. So that's why I recommend everyone to at least sleep 6 to 8 hours. Now moving to the next article, like, will mega textile park help boost the sector? Where are mega parks coming up? The first phase of PM Mitra scheme. What has been the reaction to the announce of MSME sector, which is called medium sector micro enterprises, which dominates the textile and we can say apparel industry? How is new initiative different from earlier textile park scheme? PM Mitra scheme क्या है that we have discussed also. PM Mitra scheme is basically for the well-being of the textile industry. It is for the textile industry. So under the first phase of PM Mitra scheme, just a second. So in the first phase of PM Mitra scheme, large textile parks that will spread across at least 1,000 acres, that will come spread across at least 1,000 acres will come up 7 states. और वो 7 states कौन कौन से हैं? पहला आपका हो गया इसमें, like we can say, first one we can say तमिलनाडु, कर्नाटका, मध्य प्रदेश, तेलंगाना, Maharashtra, Gujarat and Uttar Pradesh. That is housing the entire textile value chain. So in that regard, we need to keep in mind that India must take a cue from countries such as Turkey, where integrated textile parks are highly efficient. So that can boost up our employment also. and अगर लोग employed होंगे that will directly impact on the economy as well, right? So now PM Mitra, that is called Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, among 7 states to get textile park, and we can say that PM Mitra, which means PM Mega Integrated Textile Regions and Apparel Schemes, was announced, and that is generating employment and augmented export potential. Or and that scheme has a budget outlay of 4,445 crore, including administrative expense of 30 crore over 7 years period of 2027 and 2028. Or this scheme will develop an integrated large scale and modern industrial infrastructure facility. Now moving to the next article, that we can say 6G is going to be launched by 2025-2030. As we can see that the first G which stand for generation, G stand for generation. So first G having a 2.4 kbps speed, which means kilobyte per second. Kbps, which means we can say that kilobyte per second. In your exam, they can directly ask you what does it mean, the word kbps. So 6G will contribute fill the gap between beyond 2020 societal and business demands of what 5G, because there was a news. So that was in 1980, it was voice calling was started, not in India but in the world I am talking about. 64 kbps in 2G, that was SMS system was started in 1990. 3G service in 2 megabyte per second, Mbps. So then kbps converted into the Mbps, which is called megabyte per second. And then it was in the year of 2000, and the 4G, that is Internet of Application, was launched in 2010, that the speed of 100 to 1000 megabyte per second. Then 5G was launched, that is called GBps, which is called gigabyte per second. Gigabyte per second. So initially it was started with kilobyte per second, kbps, then it was Mbps, and then now gigabyte per second. And 6G, that was going to be launched in the maximum period of 2020-2030. New spectrum, disruptive technologies, cell-less networks, energy efficiency, and artificial intelligence. These all that will be towards a fully digital and connected world. Now moving to the next one. Rahul disqualified as MB. Congress call it black day for the democracy, that we have already discussed. Membership of ban outfit is crime under UAPA. UAPA, what it means? Unlawful Activities of Prevention Act. That is called Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. So 3-judge bench ने Supreme Court को decide किया कि the mere member of ban organization that liable to found criminal libel under unlawful activities for Prevention Act. इस जजमेंट के साथ ही सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने सेट किया कि लाइक मेयर मेंबरशिप, एक्टिव मेंबरशिप और अनलॉफुल एसोसिएशंस और ऑर्गेनाइजेशन डिड नॉट मेक अ पर्सनल क्रिमिनल और टेररिस्ट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. तो बाद में जितने भी जो ऐसे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन थे विच इज़ द अगेंस्ट ऑफ कंट्रीज सिक्योरिटी एंड सोवरेनिटी, दैट इज वी कैन से comes under UAPA, right? So the court referred Article 19 Clause 4, that which mandates the citizen right to form union or association that was subject to the power of the state to make laws to impose reasonable restrictions, which means that if the Supreme Court thinks about this association or this organization that is against the security and sovereignty of the country, that can apply the reasonable instructions. ICMR released ethical guidelines for AI usage in healthcare. The Indian Council of Medical Research has released the country's first ethical guidelines for application on artificial intelligence on biomedical research and healthcare. Right? The name is ICMR. ने लॉन्च क्या किया, दैट यू नीड टू माइंड, बिकॉज सुपरलेटिव वर्ड नीड टू कीप इन माइंड. क्या लॉन्च किया? इंडिया का कंट्री का फर्स्ट ethical guidelines for application of artificial intelligence. Now the next article talking about AFFCA removed from 3 police station limits in Nagaland. और इनको AFCA इसके ऊपर आपके क्लैट ने पूछ भी रखा है. आर्म फोर्स स्पेशल पावर्स एक्ट, और इसको रूलिंग अथॉरिटी कौन होती है? मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ होम अफेयर्स. इसमें एक डिस्टर्ब एरिया होता है जो कि स्टेट गवर्नमेंट भी इशू कर सकती है, और दैट हैव पावर टू मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ होम अफेयर्स एज वेल. So the Armed Force Special Powers Bill was passed both the House of Parliament, and it was approved by the President on September 11, 1958, or it became known as Armed Force Special Powers Act 1958. और ये एक्ट जो है in the context of increasing violence in the northeastern state decades ago, with the state government found difficult to control. और इसमें एक एरिया होता है डिस्टर्ब एरिया. So disturb area is one which is declared by notification under section 3 of the AFSPA, Armed Force Special Power Act, that it can be evoked in the place where the armed force in the aid of civil power is necessary. Now moving to the next article, prisoners on payroll during pandemic must surrender, that is Supreme Court. इसमें कोई भी अभी तक आउटकम नहीं आई है, so that once it will be, then we will discuss in the detailed manner. Now moving to the understanding waste to energy plants. So what kind of waste do these plants are generate electricity? Why this segregation of waste important? So Kerala government recently announced a state first waste to energy project. So that was a state initiative. That is the Kerala government state to waste energy. That is initiative taken by the Kerala state government. So why do waste to energy project do? So what exactly they do? So waste to energy project use non-recyclable dry waste to generate electricity. That is the main crux. Now moving to the questions of the day. That is very, very important. In that regard, until unless you have gathered all the information but you are unable to solve the question, sometimes you will see the questions, right, very carefully, because whatever the information you have gathered, at the end it matters a lot that how many questions you are able to solve. Sometimes you know the questions, sometimes you apply process of elimination, sometimes you are trapped in dilemma whether the option A would be appropriate answer, whether option B would be or C would be. So make sure that attempt or try to solve the questions. Does not matter you have given incorrect answer, does not matter if you are given correct answer, do not try to do compare. Here is the very first question. World Water Development Report is published by WMO, IPCC, UNESCO, or UNEP. Take your time and try to solve this question answer. And this was recently in the news, so the answer would be as option C. So World Water Report is published by UNESCO on behalf of UN Water, and its production is coordinated by UNESCO World Water Assessment Program. It is an annual report that is released to launch by World Water Day, that is 22nd of March every year. Moving to the next questions. Doha political declaration was in news recently, is associated with outer space governance, countering terrorist financing, global monetary policy, and sustainable development goal, that is done by the United Nations. So we can see the answer would be option D. Which one of the following is the best descriptions of INS Androth that was in the news recently? Amphibious warfare ship, anti-submarine warfare, shallow water craft, torpedo launch and recovery vessels, nuclear powered aircraft carrier. So the answer is option B. Androth, the second of 0.8 anti-submarine warfare shallow watercraft that was being built by GRS Kolkata for the Indian Navy, and that was the first ship of INS Arnala. Now we move to the second last question. How is tuberculosis typically transmitted? Through contact with infected animals, through contact with contaminated food and water, through the air when an infected person coughs or sneezes, through sexual contact. So the answer would be here option C. Tuberculosis typically transmitted through the air when an infected person coughs or sneezes, releasing droplet containing the bacteria into the air, and this disease is not transmitted through the contact with infected animals, contaminated food, water, or sexual contact. So that's why the answer of tuberculosis, which is called TB, is typically transmitted from the infected person, not from the A, B, and D. That is not a communicable disease. Now the last questions: which one of the following sectors is mainly targeted through the PM Mitra scheme? And now in newspaper analysis we have discussed about PM Mitra scheme. Obvious that for the welfare of textile industry. So the PM Mitra scheme, the scheme aims to realize the vision of building the Atmanirbhar Bharat, which is called self-reliant India, positioning India strongly on global textile map. And PM Mitra Park will provide the best ecosystem for the textile industry to be collectively present in one location. The PM Mitra scheme is for the textile industry. So this is all about the session, dear student, and I hope you enjoyed the session a lot. If you have any questions regarding this, please let me know in the comment section. And if you are new in this channel, please subscribe the channel as well, and do not forget to press the bell icon so you will get the notification of all our Pratham Test Prep mentor. We'll meet you tomorrow at the same time at 11:30. Till then, stay tuned. Bye bye and take care, and thank you so much for joining with us.